Okay, I think I'm recording.
Yep, you're recording now, so you're good. Yeah, I think on Zoom, you have to click record in order for it to record. I think webinar
Okay.
records automatically. So yeah, you're good now. So it's going to record, and then I guess when it's done, if you need to upload it somewhere, just let me know. We'll upload it to where it needs to go.
All right, we'll do. Okay, so will you let everyone in, or?
I think everybody's already making their way in because it's a webinar, so they're hearing our whole conversation. But yeah, I think you're good to go whenever you're ready to get started. Just introduce yourself.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. My name is Tiffney Love. I'm an attorney with South Carolina Legal Services, and this is actually our third live presentation of the month for Second Chance Month. And the first week we discussed expungements. Last week was driver's license restoration. And this week it's going to be removing barriers to employment via pardons. I'm only going to be discussing criminal records and pardons as it relates to South Carolina. So these are not out-of-state charges or federal pardons. I'm only speaking about South Carolina today. I know some of you all already submitted some questions, and a lot of those will be answered throughout this presentation. But if you feel like I didn't touch on something, or if you have more questions, just feel free to either unmute yourself or place it in the chat box, okay? All right, so let's get started. First, let's just talk about a little bit who South Carolina Legal Services is and what we do. We are a private nonprofit statewide law firm that provides free legal assistance to low-income South Carolinians. So there is no application fee for our services. We do not charge attorney's fees. You can apply by phone or online, and we are not a government agency. So we have 9 offices across the state of South Carolina. So we service all 46 counties. So if you have a legal issue in any of those counties, we may be able to assist. You can apply for our services in a few ways. You can call our intake office at 1-888-346-5592. Our legal aid telephone intake system office is open Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I apologize for the siren in the background. You can also apply online 24 hours a day, anytime on our website at www.sclegal.org. And some of the questions that I received beforehand were very specific. So I'm only going to be answering general questions today. So if you have specific questions about your legal issue, I definitely encourage you to give our intake office a call or complete an intake online so that we can see if we can help you further, okay? So as I mentioned, we provide free civil legal services, and we may provide representation in the areas of consumer and finance, education, employment, estates and probate, family law, housing, public benefits, and elder law. That's not an exhaustive list. And so again, I do encourage you to visit our website just to see all the services that we provide. We also have our brochures on the website so that, and it further explains the services that we provide and the topics that are on the screen. We also offer self-help clinics. So we offer divorce clinics, child support reduction clinics, wills and advance directives, debt collection clinics, and barriers to employment clinics. You can either call the office that's closest to you to see what clinics are being offered in your area, or also on our website. Again, there is a calendar on the bottom of the page that indicates what clinics we have going on throughout the state that you can register for. All right, so let's get started talking about barriers to employment. And again, we're talking about pardons today. But before we get to that, we kind of need to discuss what are barriers to employment. So what I'm referring to when I say barriers to employment are criminal records, obviously, A disability may be a barrier to someone's employment, an addiction, child support obligations. It's going to be difficult for a person to maintain or obtain employment if they are incarcerated due to non-payment of their child support obligations. Restricted driving privileges, it's hard to retain employment if you can't get to work. And even homelessness is a barrier to employment, which also coincides with criminal records. So what is a criminal record? I know we all think we know what a criminal record is, and it sounds like it can explain itself, but specifically, criminal records are data that is kept by SLED. So that's a person's arrest, even if there was no conviction. That's a person's dismissed charges, no pros charges, meaning they weren't prosecuted. That's a person's not guilty verdicts. And also the convictions are going to be on that record. We know the effects of a criminal record are employment. So when you're trying to get a job, it's usually going to come up on your background check. So the hiring process is an issue. When you're trying to get professional licensing, you want to be a CNA, you want to be a barber, doctor, lawyer, whatever. There's a professional examination that you have to sit for, and those oftentimes come with character and fitness portions, and you may be excluded from those tests if you have a criminal record. Also, housing and public benefits as well. You may be denied SNAP benefits if you have a criminal record. So we know what a criminal record is, but let's talk about a few misconceptions of criminal records, specifically as it pertains to South Carolina, which is that rap sheets are like driving records and the convictions disappear after 10 years. That is not true. Rap sheets are not like driving records. Your SLED report will have charges from as early as you started getting convictions on your record or arrest. So if there was a charge in 1988 on your record, it's still there unless you've had it expunged from your record. Some companies choose to only go back and look at convictions for a certain amount of time. So they may go back 7 years instead of 10 or 3. But if they're going by your SLED report, your entire criminal history is on that report. Another misconception is that non-convictions and dismissals do not appear on a criminal record. That is also not true. Again, the only way to have something removed from your record is to have it expunged. Paying a fine equals no conviction. That is incorrect. Generally, if you paid a fine and you paid a ticket, that means you were convicted, and that is still on your SLED report. Only one conviction can be pardoned or expunged. It's not true, and you'll see why a little bit later. And then also, absolutely no felonies are eligible for expungement, and felonies are also not eligible for pardon or expungement. That's incorrect. So where do you begin? How do you even see what's on your criminal record? The most thorough way is to get your background checked through SLED's website. It is www.sled.sc.gov. It's $25 payable by a credit or debit card. And once you pay the $25, the report pulls up automatically. However, if it doesn't, or you don't have a credit card, you can always print the application that's on the screen, complete it, and mail it to SLED with a $25 check and a self-addressed envelope, and they will mail you back your criminal record. If you have a few charges on your record, 1 or 2, and you know what counties they occurred in, you can also check the public index because your charges may be there as well. You can go to SC Court's website, and there's a record search selection on the right side of the screen. It allows you to select the county where your conviction occurred, and you can enter your name and case number, and your charge should appear there. So even though the public index is not going to be as thorough as your SLED report, it should give you enough information to be able to complete a pardon application or a SLED report, or a expungement application. So either one is fine, but again, a SLED report is more thorough and may have all of the information that you need. All right, so pardons. What are they? Pardons are the state's forgiveness for the convictions on your criminal record. So that means you are fully forgiven for your convictions that were obtained within the state of South Carolina. They relieve you from the collateral or legal consequences of your record. Someone previously asked the question about what was the difference between a pardon and expungement, or which one was better. So with an expungement, that is the complete destruction of arrest records related to your conviction or arrest. The expungement will completely remove a charge off of your record. So those records are destroyed, they no longer exist. A pardon is the state's forgiveness again for your record. So those charges are still going to remain. And anytime someone pulls your criminal record, they'll still be able to see the charges on your record if you've had them pardoned. Now, some people may think that expungement is the better choice, but not all charges are eligible for expungement in South Carolina, or they may not be eligible right now. So in that case, you can go ahead and seek a pardon. And if your charge does become eligible for expungement at a later date, a pardon is not going to affect you if you would like to go back and apply for an expungement when you're eligible. So back to collateral consequences. I indicated that pardons relieve you from the collateral consequences of your record. So what are those? That's the effects of your criminal record after you have completed your sentence. So that's everything that comes the moment you've completed everything, after you've finished all your probation, parole, and sentencing. So we know that's employment again, professional licensing, just to expand a bit more on those collateral consequences and the effects. You may be ineligible for public housing. You may have difficulty in obtaining private housing if a private landlord pulls your criminal record. You may not obtain SNAP benefits, and you may also be excluded from certain student loans or grants if you have a criminal record. So these are all collateral consequences, again, that may be a barrier to your employment. What charges are considered for a pardon? You can seek a pardon for any charge or conviction. There's no specific list of what is eligible for a pardon, unlike expungements. Again, expungements has various criteria as well, so it's very different, but a pardon, you can list every single charge on your SLED report, on your criminal record, on one pardon application. That's why it's important to get a copy of your criminal record first, so you can be sure that you're including every charge that's on there, on that pardon application. So who is eligible for a pardon? That's going to be probationers after they've been discharged from their supervision, parolees after they've completed 5 years under supervision, or the maximum parole period if that's been less than 5 years. That's going to be individuals who were discharged from their sentencing, inmates prior to becoming parole eligible with proof of extraordinary circumstances, and that's on a case-by-case basis. And also inmates with terminal illness with a life expectancy of 1 year or less. And that must be confirmed through doctor's statements. And for each one of these categories, you also have to make sure that all restitution is satisfied. If your restitution hasn't been satisfied, then you're not eligible to apply for a pardon. There are a few things you want to consider before you even submit a pardon application. And that's going to be the length of time that's passed since your last conviction or arrest. If your last conviction was a month ago or 5 months ago, it's probably not a good idea to apply for a pardon right now. Again, it's probably a case-by-case basis, but you want to make sure that enough time has passed to show the changes that you've made in your life, or that you've truly been rehabilitated from your record. Are you ready to accept the responsibility for the charges on your record? So if you're still grappling with, whether or not the charges on the record are yours, a pardon, when you're seeking a pardon, that's not really the time to dispute charges on your record. That's where you're going to accept responsibility for them and ask for the state's forgiveness. Know exactly how a pardon will help you in moving forward. So know why you're applying, because you also have to put that on the application. You need to know why you're applying for a pardon and how a pardon is going to help your specific situation. What does a pardon do? So a pardon, if you apply for a pardon and you're granted one, it's going to allow any additional conviction that you receive to be a first offense. So hopefully if you receive the state's forgiveness, you're not going to obtain any more convictions, but if you happen to, it'll be a first offense. It's going to restore your gun rights. It's going to reinstate the right to obtain an occupational license. So again, back to that professional licensing, you want to be a barber, CNA. It grants you the right to re-register to vote. You can serve on a jury again, and you can also hold some public offices. What a pardon does not do, again, it does not remove convictions from your record. So those charges will still be on your record, and it also does not allow you to check the box that some employers still have that indicates that you've not been convicted of a crime. Because even though you've been forgiven, you still have been convicted. The conviction still remains. You've just been forgiven for it. How do you apply? You apply through the Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services. The application is on their website. You can it's an interactive form, you can fill it out, print it, and mail it into them. The application is composed of 3 parts. You have to fill in all of the requested information, which is a lot of demographic information, obviously your name, address, date of birth, your previous employers and addresses. You need 3 letters of support from individuals not related to you by blood or marriage. Those references will be contacted, so you want to make sure that they're familiar with your record. If you're considering using someone who doesn't know that you have a record, or they're not aware of the extent of the charges on your record, you may want to reconsider using that person if you don't want them to know, because they will be contacted. Obtain a $100 non-refundable application fee. Once all of that is complete, you can submit the application to the Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services. Can my pardon application be rejected? And of course it can, yes. Your application is incomplete, then it can be rejected. If you haven't completed all probation, parole, and sentencing, it can be rejected. If you still owe restitution, you may not be able to complete the process. They will give you the opportunity to pay your restitution, maybe 90 days or so. And if you don't pay it within that time, then they'll rescind your application. Or if you were deceitful on your application, they may reject your application as well. After submitting your application, the pardon process is generally going to take 7 to 9 months. So that 7 to 9 months starts from the time you submit your application until the time that you're granted a hearing. So you will be granted a hearing for a pardon. You do not have to attend the hearing. However, I strongly suggest that you attend the hearing. The hearing takes place in front of a pardon board, and 5 out of the 7 members on that pardon board must agree to grant you a pardon. So who are those 7 board members? Again, they're granted by that 7-member board. They are not granted by the governor, as most people tend to think that the governor is the person that actually gives you a pardon. Well, he appoints 7 members, and then those members are the ones who you present your case in front of and who agree whether or not you deserve a pardon. So during that hearing, what you want to do, what you can expect when you actually get in front of that board, you're going to present your case in front of those individuals, you or your attorney. The hearing is generally no more than 15 minutes, and 15 minutes is actually on the higher end. They usually don't take that long. you want to be familiar with the charges on your record and why they are there. So I say that because they're going to ask you questions about your entire record. So if you have a very lengthy record, you should be able to account for every single charge that's on your record. If you can't account for it, at least be able to indicate or communicate what was going on in your life at that time. That maybe kind of explains why you don't remember why those charges are on your record. There is a possibility that the victim, if there is a victim in your case, will appear or submit a statement. So they're going to have an opportunity to be heard as well and tell the state whether or not they agree with them to give you a pardon or why they believe that you shouldn't be granted a pardon. The board wants to hear from you. And you can have an attorney at a pardon hearing, but don't think that the attorney is going to do all the talking at your hearing, because the board is going to ask you specific questions about your record. You can also bring witnesses with you, character witnesses if you would like, and they can also speak on your behalf. But again, you will be speaking also. At the end of the hearing, the board deliberates for a few minutes and a pardon certificate will be issued if favorable. If not, they will let you know when you can apply again. So again, what if I am denied a pardon? If denied, you can apply again after 1 year. You will be granted another hearing. You'll go through the entire application process again, getting those 3 letters of references, completing the application, and that $100 non-refundable fee. You have to do all of that again. It's important to understand why you were denied before you just submit another application, and try to fix the situation before you submit another application. So when it comes to pardons, what you want to do first, again, obtain your criminal record so you can know what's on your record and know what you're asking the state to forgive you for. Complete that application, all 3 sections, get your 3 letters of support and the non-refundable $100 fee. Attend your hearing, bring character witnesses, be prepared to discuss your record fully. And if you're granted a pardon, you can enjoy the restored rights and opportunities that will be granted to you upon getting the state's forgiveness for your record. Are there any questions in regards to pardons? And again, you can unmute yourself if you would like, or you can put them in the chat box. There was one question that was submitted beforehand that was asking about presidential pardons. And I do want to say again, this presentation was focused on pardons within the state of South Carolina. So this isn't focusing on federal charges. That's a completely different process, and that's through the U.S. Department of Justice. And you can go to their website and file a petition for a pardon on there if you're thinking about federal pardon. But that's not necessarily something that was discussed in this presentation today. There were also some questions regarding specific charges on your records. I do want to encourage you to apply for our services at the number on the screen or go to our website, since I can't actually answer those questions today. So definitely apply for our services to see if we can help you further. Any questions? All right, well, if there are no questions, we can go ahead. Let's see. So someone asks, can you be pardoned for 2 convictions? And yes, you may. You can be pardoned for as many convictions as that you have. So if you have a 2-page record, a 14-page record, you can ask for all of your charges to be pardoned. So yes. How long will it take for those privileges to kick in? It depends. It depends on what privileges you're referring to, because it automatically is going to restore your gun rights, and you can re-register for the right to vote and things like that. But your job opportunities, that's going to depend on the employer. But if you need to sit for professional examination, as soon as you get that certificate of pardon, that's something that you can show to your examination board, so that you can be able to sit for your exam or get an internship that you need, or a particular job that wanted to make sure that you were pardoned before they hired you. So just depends on what it is, but those rights are restored as soon as you get that certificate of pardon. You are welcome. Anyone else? Well, if that is all, I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon. This presentation is going to be up on our YouTube, likely by the end of the week or next week sometime. So you'll be able to view the slides that way. And again, if you have any individual questions or want more information, please give us a call or visit our website. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.